Hi, good afternoon, one and all. My name is Aristotle, and together with Deepankar Sharma, we'll be your MCs for today. So if you are in India, good afternoon. If in your other parts of the world, good morning and good evening. Welcome to the 12th AISSQ Conference on Science and Spiritual Quest. It's a 3-day conference from the 21st to 23rd of January, organized by the Bhaktivedanta Institute, Kolkata.
So we'll start this conference with an invocation ceremony. This consists of Sri Brahma-samhita chanting, then followed by cultural offering video and lighting of lamp. So to begin with, I would like to invite Sri Aristotle Motinandi to chant hymns from Sri Brahma-samhita. And I would like to request all of the participants to join in.
Thank you, Deepankar. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gotrishe Namaha Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarna Karanam Chintamani Prakarasadmasu Kalpariksha Lakshaviteshu Surabhirabhipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambhramasevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Kvanantamaravindalayaksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandalpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kala Sadvanamalya Vamsi Ratnangadam Pranaya Kerikala Vilasham Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Shakalendriya Vitimanti Pashyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। हरिनाम महामन्त्र कलिजुग की अमृत ने।
This conference is dedicated to visionary Dr. T.D. Singh, His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami, Founder Director Bhaktivedanta Institute, Founder President Vedanta and Science Educational Research Foundation. Now I would like to request Shri Varun Agarwal, Director Bhaktivedanta Institute, to light the lamp. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shri Varun Agarwalji, for lighting of the lamp. And now we move forward in our sessions. And next we have welcome address by Shri K. Vasudeva Rao, President Bhaktivedanta Institute and Chairman of this AISSQ 2022. So with this, I'd like to request Shri K. Vasudeva Rao to please welcome address.
Namaste, good afternoon. Is my voice is clear?
Yes, sir.
So welcome everyone, all the distinguished speakers, delegates and organizing members and volunteers and members, friends and well-wishers of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. I will start with a short prayer. Vasudeva Paraveda Vasudeva Paramakha Vasudeva Parayoga Vasudeva Parakriyaha Vasudeva Param Gnanam Vasudeva Param Tapaha Vasudeva Paro Dharmo Vasudeva Paragatihi. This AISSQ conference is initiated by Dr. T.D. Singh, the founder of Bhaktivedanta Institute and AISSQ. This conference is a dedication to him. And we also express our sincere gratitude to our Bhaktivedanta Institute distinguished board members, Sri Radha Charan and Professor Sudipta Ghosh from IIT Kharagpur. Both of them left during the COVID period, and we thank all the COVID warriors who are relentlessly working round the clock, round the globe to keep the pandemic in control. We are truly grateful and cannot repay their sacrifice. And Dr. Singh is a pioneer of science religion dialogue. He is also a great peacemaker. He's born in a wonderful state of Manipur in India, which has rich cultural heritage. Jawaharlal Nehru called Manipur as Switzerland of India. So beautiful. However, Dr. Singh had to live on his own in his childhood because he lost his father and had to stay alone, stay separate from mother. But he was so hardworking and dedicated to what he wanted to do. He could enter into University of California at Irvine at 1969. He obtained PhD in physical organic chemistry. Then after working for some time, he dedicated himself to furthering the science and religion dialogue. And he met more than 24 Nobel laureates and had good interactions and had them published in Bhaktivedanta Institute books. It is a very extraordinary feat from that time because religion is not so welcome among the academic circles, especially scientific circles. So he has published, he has around 50 plus books. They are available on our institute website, store.binst.org. Interested delegates can purchase them, get them. He's also a great performing artist. He started Ranganiketan cultural troupe, which went around the world performing at prestigious places. And these are some of the images. And he also organized international conferences on consciousness studies within science, religion dialogue. This conference is in 1990. And in 97 in Calcutta, World Congress on Science and Religion. He was also a great peacemaker, and he is part of United Religions Initiative. Left, you see the founder, Dr. Bill Swing, is the founder of United Religions Initiative. And right, he's at the Jimmy Carter Center. So he's a very wonderful personality. He had really many interreligious conferences and events which he himself organized in Manipur and in India and other places. And he's such a wonderful person. Even his spiritual preceptor called him a first-class person. Professor Jagadish Srivastava, who closely associated with Dr. Singh, he remarked, he accomplished all the above with a gentleness that is unbelievable. So he is such a great scholar and a saint, but one would not know that he is a great scholar unless he gets familiar with him enough. And Richard R. Ernst, Nobel laureate in chemistry, who is a close associate of Dr. Singh, he said, Dr. Singh represents a perfect role model how citizens and in particular academics should think, feel, and behave. And this is exactly one of the motives or purpose of our AISSQ conference. Along with the capabilities, we want to bring in the core values of a human being a human. Dr. Singh founded Bhaktivedanta Institute on the instruction of his spiritual preceptor. Bhaktivedanta Institute is unique in the sense that it was born out of open dialogues and intense debates between the wisdom of an old saint, a spiritual teacher, and the scientific temper of a young creative scientist, that is Dr. T.D. Singh himself. So the Bhaktivedanta Institute itself is born out of serious dialogues between science and religion. And Bhaktivedanta Institute is a center for advanced studies in science and Vedanta and focuses on a consciousness-based paradigm. This spiritual paradigm has a unique potential to resolve the mind-body problem, the questions of evolution and life's origin, and many other philosophical and ethical concerns. And Bhaktivedanta Institute now has expanded activities in different parts of India. Here we have Bhaktivedanta Institute Bangalore, activities in Bangalore. It is headed by Prabhakar Ballapalle. He is the president of the Bhaktivedanta Institute in Bangalore. You will see him in the second session. He will be chairing on spirituality and health. So Bhaktivedanta Institute Bangalore, it organizes lectures and seminars, and it organizes spiritual retreats, festivals. It also arranges science spirituality programs for students, kids. It organizes certificate courses in science spirituality, Bhagavad Gita. It also organizes wonderful annual conference called Fusion Conference, and also winter school, winter retreat on science and spirituality. So those who are nearby Bangalore and are interested in these activities, you can note down. His contact is there. And this video will be available later for you to view. Similarly, Institute of Science and Religion is in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai. Dr. Singh inspired the president of ISR, Jayanti Chavan. She's also speaking. She's also a speaker in holistic education. It's an autonomous non-profit societal and education institute. It was founded by Dr. Singh in the year 2005 to expand the mission of Bhaktivedanta Institute. It aims at creating a benchmark in inclusive knowledge by promoting value-oriented higher studies, including research based on integrating ancient wisdom with modern scientific thoughts in varied areas to benefit the academic and research community. The members counsel students and regularly participate and represent papers in academic conferences. Last year, ISR has set up its division Center for Human Excellence Studies and Applied Research. The prime objective of the center is to facilitate development of human excellence through a new synthetic approach. It offers courses for this purpose. ISR has organized outreaches, workshops and seminars, conferences in varied disciplines at leading educational campuses and corporates in India and abroad. Besides, ISR has also published books in the area of education, science, spirituality, environmental challenges, health, fitness, and new science. So, website is there, www.inst.scienceandreligion.org. Then we have Bhaktivedanta Institute in Vijayawada. Vijayawada, they organize online certificate, non-credit courses in Telugu and English on holistic personality development, successful life journey, Bhagavad Gita, holistic professional development, etc. Online and offline counseling services on yoga and health, career, academic and technical excellence, personality and professional development, spoken English, organic farming, etc. And online and offline spiritual and philosophical discourse on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. Celebrations and spiritual get-together, like important festivals, and they organize competitions on recitations and Rangoli, like that. So those who are in South India area can contact in Telugu area. And we also have a Center for Foundations of Science and Consciousness, Bhaktivedanta Institute in Bhuvaneshwar. It is established by the vision of Dr. T.D. Singh, started in 2016, located in serene atmosphere in between IIT Bhuvaneshwar and IISER Bhuvaneshwar, pivotal in organizing 11th AISSQ in collaboration with IIT Bhuvaneshwar. They organize a weekly seminar series on science and spirituality every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. They also organize annual Odisha State Students Essay Competition, annual symposium on life and works of Dr. T.D. Singh. So interested, they can note down the address. And similarly, we have Bhaktivedanta Institute in Hyderabad. Is headed by Angela Srinivas. Bhaktivedanta Institute Hyderabad also has similar activities. They do annual conference They organize lectures and various things, various topics. It is closely located at near the Osmania University, and Osmania University students also participate in Bhaktivedanta Institute. They organize online, offline spiritual discussions, spiritual celebrations, spiritual tours, personality development courses, and science spirituality seminars. And we also are associated with Vedanta and Science Education Foundation. They extend us facilities in Navadvip. We have a retreat center there. They have a retreat center. We use that. Those who are visiting that place, they can visit this website. And last but not least, Dr. T.D. Singh Memorial is a wonderful memorial in Vrindavan area, Radhakund. His Grace Sukadeva Das is the director of the center. So if you are planning to visit Vrindavan area, please visit Dr. T.D. Singh's Memorial, and you can contact Sukadevji at sukha108@gmail.com. Now, the quest, the science and spiritual quest. The science and spiritual quest can be summarized into two broad categories that is beautifully put forward by Immanuel Kant. Two things fill the mind with ever-increasing wonder and awe. The more often and the more intensely the mind of thought is drawn to them. The starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. And it is very important because the moral law within us and the starry heavens above, when we deeply study them, moral law will lead to soul, understanding of the soul, and the starry heavens will lead to the understanding of God. So these two are very important research areas, even in science now. So our science and spiritual quest, a lot of topics, they are centered around these two topics: consciousness studies, which is the symptom of the soul, and cosmology. So these are two important areas. Our deep study is centered around these two. Of course, there are many other areas connected to these. Let us see a little bit about moral law within, and it concludes to consciousness research. Let us see a little bit. Generally in science, we tend to think consciousness or living symptoms to molecular interactions. That is summarized nicely by Francis Crick. Your joys, your sorrows, your memories, and your ambition, your sense of personal identity and free will are in fact no more than the behavior of vast assembly of nerve cells and their associated molecules. So this is how we would like to, we think in science, tend to think. But there is a problem of morality, which we talked about, moral law within, that how do we account for moral or immoral activities or the sense of morality. We all have sense of morality, though the standard of morality may vary, but the very basic sense of morality, why is it there? What it is if we carefully look into it, we get to the understanding of consciousness and to the soul. So if the moral or intentions are only nerve cells and their interactions, then who are the ultimate culprits of our actions? Who are ultimate responsible persons? If somebody does a crime, are the neurons responsible? But we don't think so. Our common sense doesn't, or we don't work in that conviction. We always put the person responsible. We don't isolate the neurons and punish them, but we do punish the person. Similarly, we feel more responsible in bringing back human being when we send them to space than when we send a robot to the space. We are not as serious as in the case of human being. So therefore, there is a sense of responsibility in us, and also there is a sense of responsibility for living things as being constitutionally more valuable. So Sir Roger Penrose puts this very nicely, that the legal issue of responsibility seems to imply that there is indeed within each of us some kind of an independent self with its own responsibilities. So it gives a hint that there is something independent self with its own responsibilities. That's from where the sense of responsibility is coming. And similarly, Dr. T.D. Singh, he put this question: which force or molecule makes mother love her baby or make baby happy? So it is very difficult to find molecular understanding of mother's love, though there are some theories, but they don't satisfy us. There is something very fundamental to our existence. So these insights lead us to something fundamentally different from matter. Professor George Ellis, he is Templeton Laureate from University of Cape Town. He co-authored large-scale structure of space and time with Stephen Hawking. He says, my own view would be that at least ethics and beauty do have meaning, though science cannot attain them. And what one gets there then is that some important aspects of existence lie within what science can deal with, and some lie outside what science can deal with. So therefore, some of the scientists, they work with the assumption, or they suspect, that consciousness is a principle that fundamentally transcends not only physics and chemistry, but also the mechanistic principles of living beings. So if we deeply look at the moral law within us, we'll be forced to come to the point of consciousness, which is fundamentally different from matter. And that's what the soul, the religious traditions talk about. All thinking scientists agree that we all have consciousness and free will, but the present scientific knowledge cannot explain this. We need a new science. Means we need to expand how we work in science. We have to expand the operating mode of the science. And Dr. T.D. Singh complements that spirituality should be a partner in new science, because spirituality deals with the consciousness as a fundamentally different entity. So the traditional wisdom is there. If we bring them together, apply one method to another, we will have something very useful. But is consciousness a particle, like we have fundamental particle? Our Indian wisdom, ancient Indian wisdom, it reveals that consciousness, actually there is a particle of consciousness, and it is called as Chit Kanaha. And they try to give the size of this Chit Kana as a 10,000 part of the tip of the hair. But at the end, if you see here, Sankhya-titoha Chit Kanaha, it is beyond any number. Actually, we cannot measure it. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that Chit Kana is immeasurable. We cannot measure it. The reason is that because if you take the example of a video game, the player who is accepted a character in the game, the size of that character in the game cannot give an idea about the person who is playing that character outside the screen, or sitting outside the computer. So which means that a scale within the game screen that cannot measure the person who is sitting on the chair and playing the game. It is because the person who is sitting in the chair is transcendental to the game, though he is interacting inside the game with the character. So similarly, this Chit Kana, or the soul, is transcendental to this world, though we are interacting with this world. So therefore, we will not be able to measure it because it is outside the system, but interacting. So Vedic view is that reality is fundamentally into two categories. One is matter, another spirit. Then starry heavens above. These children from our childhood will look very surprised or we are wondering about the stars in the night, that inquisitiveness, it lands us in the origin and structure of universe research. And we have a Big Bang theory and similarly other theories. And one important aspect is that there are fundamental constants in the universe, like speed of light and other constants. So how these constants came about is one of the interesting areas, the origin of universe and origin of fundamental constants of the universe. So one of the theories is the multiverse universe hypothesis. Means there are many universes that went through Big Bang, and in some universe the constants have come out like this, and that happens to be our universe. So this is a multiverse hypothesis. But multiverse hypothesis, we don't have a proof or evidence, because we are still, this universe itself is very big for us. The edge, where is the edge to go and come back, how many millions of light years we have to. So it is beyond our experimentation. So again, George Ellis says, I do not see any serious difference in the faith you need to believe in a multiverse and the faith you need to believe in a God who creates it all. So when we talk about moral law within and starry heavens above, things go beyond our experimental spectrum. So therefore, we need to bring together science and spirituality together, because only mechanistic way of understanding the reality could have consequences, just like Charles Darwin expressed that I have said that in one respect my mind has changed during last 20 or 30 years. Up to the age of 30 or beyond it, poetry of many kinds, such as works of Milton, Gray, Byron, Wordsworth, Coleridge, and Shelley, gave me great pleasure. And even as a schoolboy, I took intense delight in Shakespeare, especially in the historical plays. I have tried lately, but now for many years, I cannot endure to read a line of poetry. I have tried lately to read Shakespeare and found it so intolerably dull that it nauseated me. I have also almost lost my taste for pictures or music. Music generally sets thinking too energetically on what I have been at work on instead of giving me pleasure. I retain some taste for fine scenery, but it does not cause me the exquisite delight which it formerly did. My mind seems to have become a kind of machine for grinding general laws out of a large collection of facts. But why this should have caused the atrophy of that part of the brain alone on which the higher taste depends, I cannot conceive. The loss of this taste is the loss of happiness and may possibly injurious to the intellect and more probably to the moral character by enfeebling the emotional part of our nature. So therefore, we have to bring in not only objective and mechanistic laws, also subjective mechanics or subjective laws. As put forward nicely by Schrodinger, our science, Greek science, is based on objectification. But I do believe that this is precisely the point where our present way of thinking does need to be amended, perhaps by a blood transfusion from Eastern thought. And the Indian way. It is already becoming clear that a chapter which had a Western beginning will have to have an Indian ending if it is not to end in self-destruction of the human race. At this supremely dangerous moment in human history, the only way of salvation is the ancient Indian way. Here we have the attitude and spirit that can make it possible for the human race to grow together into a single family, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. So, science and spiritual quest is to bring back the Indian way. Indian way is let everybody be happy, let everyone should be happy. So, the science of happiness, science and spiritual quest is nothing but science of happiness, science of our inner moral ethical propensity and starry heavens above us. And the happiness, it is obtained either by taking or by giving. And to love is to give. And when one gets used to this happiness, then there is no increasing, whereas happiness in taking is not perpetual. It is very transient. And in love can make everybody happy. So let us bring back the Indian way. It's of course also the all other countries, the same spirit, the love and the universal brotherhood and God, it is there in all the religions. So Science and Spiritual Quest is a platform where we look into ourselves one more time from both from science and spiritual perspectives. It is because the details of scientific laws and both within us and the universe, they are unlimited, but our life is very limited. So therefore, we should utilize this human form of life to achieve the perfection and reach ultimate destination using both science as well as spirituality. Thank you very much for your attention, and I welcome you all to the 3 days Science and Spiritual Quest conference organized by the Bhaktivedanta Institute. I thank you all once again for your joining us, and please stay focused. Next 3 days we have very wonderful and distinguished speakers who have wonderful presentations, which have implications not only for our academics, but also to our personal lives and to our happiness. Stay happy and stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sri Vasudeva Rao. I'd like to now to call upon the convener of the conference, Dr. Debasish Khan, who's Associate Professor IIT Varanasi, to please give the conference overview. Dr. Khan, sir.
My video is not visible, please.
Yeah, it's not visible. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. As convener of the AISSQ 2022, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this online conference on Science and Spiritual Quest. Even though the present pandemic situation has forced us to stay remotely, but I'm happy to see that we are very much connected through online mode to inquire about the subject matter of the conference. This is because of the fact that the subject matter is very, very foundational as well as important and exciting in nature. The quest to comprehend the countless aspects of the nature ranging from the behavior of the subatomic particles inside the atom to the farthest galaxies of our universe drives the genuine scientific venture. The various branches of knowledge such as mathematics, physics, life sciences, chemistry, cosmology, philosophy, and psychology are simply the manifestations of this quest. The more we are knowing, more mysteries are coming to the surface than ever. The foundations of spirituality, on the other hand, too, are based on genuine inquiry, the quest of a spiritual seeker to know himself and the Supreme Lord behind everything. Who am I? Who is the God? What is the purpose behind this creation? Is there any life after this body is finished? What is my relationship with the God? The more sincere the seeker is, the deeper he can fathom. Happiness gets enriched at every stage of realization. The goal of both science and spiritual quest is the same, reaching out to the fundamental reality. Scientists call it the ultimate reality, whereas the spiritualists call it the God. Both the quests find their perfection in having its slightest glimpse. The joy in it is immense. Life becomes meaningful. The feeling and realization that as am I, so are others, and all the members of the same family broaden one's outlook and make him her a global citizen who works for the genuine welfare of one and all. Though she stays in this physical world with physical body like others, her activities are transcendental. How she performs such wonderful acts have no answer in science that we study and teach. With a genuine interest, a mere association with such a personality dissipates the curtain of ignorance and brings transformation. One's very existence becomes blissful, and she serves himself, herself, and the society in a better way. Since her outlook is positive, the quest is genuine, be it science or spirituality. They are all the same, different manifestations of the ultimate, having no contradiction at all. Bhaktivedanta Institute has been organizing for the past 15 years its series of conferences under the heading of AISSQ. The series was conceptualized by Dr. T.D. Singh, also known as His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami, the founding director of Bhaktivedanta Institute. Dr. Singh had lots of concerns for the student community with regard to their holistic development. He felt our younger generations were exposed to the latest scientific and technological developments in various disciplines at numerous colleges and universities around the world, but lacked spiritual foundation to make proper use of them. Hence, he felt the need to organize students' conference on the interface of science and spirituality for the holistic growth of their personality. With this vision, Dr. Singh conceptualized and commenced the series on All India Students' Conference on Science and Spiritual Quest in December 2005. Today, inspired by his vision, his students, friends, and well-wishers throughout the world are making a humble attempt to carry out his grand vision for harmonizing the modern culture through the synthesis of science and spirituality. His contributions towards the synthesis of science and spirituality are phenomenal, and all of us can take great advantage of those. The AISSQ 2022 brings together a multidisciplinary group of world-renowned researchers and scholars to deliver lectures in a stimulating setting over an extended period of time. Today, in the first session, distinguished speaker will talk on physics, mathematics, and God. We are very fortunate that we would be listening from some of the topmost scientists of the world, such as Professor Gerald, Professor Martin Noah, whose works on the theme of this session are highly appreciated worldwide. Today's second session has been planned to focus on spirituality and health, how various elements of spirituality can be the integral parts of good health will be discussed in detail in this session by three prominent speakers, Professor Gangadhar, Professor Rima Dada, and Professor Harold Noik, who are having outstanding contributions in this area. Looking into the present pandemic situation, we have kept 2 sessions on this theme, spirituality and health. However, the name of the other session is Biochemistry, Aging, and Holistic Paradigm of Life. And this session is on 3rd day, that is January 23rd, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Of course, the titles and contents thereof are different in each presentation. So therefore, I request all the participants to be there in all the presentations to make you healthy on physical, mental, and spiritual ground. Tomorrow, that is on January 22, we have 3 different sessions. The first one is on Vedanta and Science, and the lectures in this session will be delivered by Professor Manoranjan Sinha and Dr. Hare Krishna Mahanta. They both have very wide and in-depth knowledge on the interface of Vedanta and Science. They will speak you the very foundational knowledge on the origin of life and universe. The second session on tomorrow will give us knowledge on how using the spiritual elements, sustainable development of our environment is possible on earth. Here again, we have 2 learned speakers, Professor Devendra Mohan and Dr. Bhaktilata Devi. Please do not miss the chance to keep your environment balanced for healthy life. In the 3rd session of tomorrow, we'll get opportunity to listen on the role of holistic education in bringing out the human excellence. We have two eminent speakers, Professor C. Panduranga Bhatta and Dr. Janti Ranganathan Chavan. Both of them have very long experience on the theme of this session, and therefore it will be highly exciting to listen from them to educate us and our children for better future. On June 23rd, that is on the last day, the first session is on biochemistry, aging, and holistic paradigm of life that I have already pointed out. In the second session, presentations will be on science, spirituality, and search for the purpose of life and the universe. The speakers who will be presenting in this session are very senior and they are involved in the mission building programs of our country. Professor Sandeep Kumar and Professor P.B. Sharma, it will be our great opportunity to listen to them. In the last session of the third day, various young minds will give their respective presentations. Their topics are very, very interesting and inspiring to listen. To mention a few, such as mystery of consciousness, can quantum physics explain consciousness, is our reality simulated, etc. So therefore, a total of around 24 lectures will be delivered, and lectures to be delivered will cover a broad range of perspectives and enthuse the participants with thought-provoking questions, ideas, and undoubting hankering for the answers to the question. Question and answer session will be there for each presentation. So we hope the conference will enable the participants to appreciate multidisciplinary approaches, highlighting the multidimensional aspects of science and spirituality, and will lay the foundation for the holistic approach in the quest for understanding the fundamental truth or ultimate reality. So let's explore the nature of absolute reality through the synthesis of science and spirituality, and try to lead a very balanced life through the synthesis of scientific temperament and spiritual wisdom. Best wishes for your life's journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Debasish Khan, for your conference overview. So we have now come to the end of the welcome address in the introductory session. But before that, before we move on to the sessions proper, the presentations proper, just like to draw your attention to the online quiz. The quiz date is on the 30th January, and you stand to win attractive prizes. So please log on to aissq.binstitute.org and contact, or if you need to contact, 933-001-0818 for more details. And this is only open for students, the undergraduate and postgraduate programs. So we'll have a quick group photo now. So please turn on your videos, please, everyone, so that we can get a snap, since everyone's here at the beginning with our distinguished speakers. Let us get a quick group photo. Say about 30 seconds. We can be snapping. You can also feel free to snap so that you can keep it as a memento. Yes, a nice wide smile. Just a few more seconds, a few more shots. Okay, thank you